Hey everybody, and welcome to Story Time with PJ. I'm so glad you joined us today. We've got all kinds of kids listening to stories. This one is called The Friend Who Forgives, and it is by Dan Dewitt and Catalina Echeverry. I think is how you pronounce it. All right, let's have a look. The Friend Who Forgives. A long time ago, there was a man named Peter who was best friends with Jesus. Peter was a fisherman. He was strong and brave, but he often said the wrong things. Do you ever say the wrong things? I know I do sometimes. Do you ever talk before you think? That's what Peter did. Again and again and again. Peter loved fish. In fact, one day, him and Jesus, they had fish for breakfast. You ever had fish for breakfast? I think I might have had fish cakes for breakfast before. Fish for breakfast? That's weird. But we will save that part for the end of the story. On the day when Jesus first called Peter to follow him, can you guess what Peter was doing? That's right, he was fishing. Follow me and I will make you fishers of men, Jesus told him. Can you imagine that? Peter fishing for men? I think they would break the net, wouldn't they? Jesus explained that just as Peter liked to search for fish, Jesus had come to search for people who needed forgiveness. Peter loved being friends with Jesus. He saw Jesus do lots of amazing things. One time, Peter's mother-in-law was sick and Jesus healed her. Another time, Peter was about to drown in a storm and Jesus saved him. Slowly, Peter realized that Jesus was more than a friend. He was God. He would never let Peter down. Never, never. But sometimes Peter let Jesus down. Like the time Jesus explained to his friends that he had to die on the cross, but that he would come back to life to offer forgiveness. All of you will run away. You're going to say that you're not my friends, Jesus said. Peter spoke right up. He did that a lot. I will never do that, Peter said. But Jesus told him, before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say 3 times that you're not my friend. I would never do that. Jesus is my best friend, Peter thought. When soldiers came to take Jesus to the cross, Peter pulled out his sword to stop them. Put your sword away, Peter, Jesus said. My Father said that this must happen. Jesus let the soldiers take him to a courtyard to stand trial, and Peter followed from far away. Look, he's hiding in the bush. Aren't you one of Jesus' friends? A young girl asked as she opened a gate for Peter to enter the courtyard. What do you think Peter said? Remember what Jesus said would happen? No, I don't know Jesus. It was a cold night, so Peter walked over to a fire where some people were warming themselves. Aren't you one of Jesus' friends? Someone asked Peter. What do you think Peter's going to say? No, I don't know him. I don't know Jesus. Then someone else stepped forward and looked closely at Peter. Yes, you're one of Jesus' friends, aren't you? He said. What do you think Peter's going to say? No, I don't know Jesus. I don't know him. Right then, at that very moment, a rooster crowed. Jesus turned around and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered that Jesus had said, before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you are not my friend. Imagine how Peter felt. Peter was sad. He knew he'd failed Jesus again and again and again. He didn't just need to find other people who needed forgiving. He needed forgiving too. Peter felt terrible. He ran out of the courtyard and he cried and he cried and he cried. Sometimes when we feel really bad, we cry, don't we? Peter had let his best friend down, and now it was too late because the soldiers had taken Jesus away to be killed. But Peter didn't stay sad because Jesus didn't stay dead. 3 days later was the first Easter Sunday when Jesus came back to life to offer people forgiveness. But would he forgive Peter for failing him so badly? One day, Jesus went looking for Peter. Where do you think Jesus found him? That's right, Peter and his friends were fishing. Jesus called to them from the beach. Peter jumped out of the boat into the water and rushed to the beach to see Jesus. And this is where Jesus and Peter had fish for breakfast. Fish for breakfast? That's kind of weird. Peter was so happy to see Jesus alive. But would Jesus forgive him? Peter wasn't sure. Maybe Jesus would want to talk to him. Maybe Jesus wouldn't want to talk to him. Maybe Jesus wouldn't want to be friends with him. But yes, Jesus did want to talk to Peter. And yes, Jesus did want to forgive Peter. Wow. And since Peter had said he didn't know Jesus 3 times, Jesus gave Peter the chance to say 3 times, "I love you, Jesus." That's how Peter became a forgiven fisher of men. Peter spent the rest of his life telling people about his best friend, Jesus. He told them that if they put their trust in Jesus, he would forgive them again and again and again. That's because Jesus was Peter's best friend. He forgave him again and again and again. And if you trust in Jesus, he will forgive you too, again and again and again. And you can be Jesus' best friend, just like Peter was. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time on Storytime with PJ.